Welcome, I've got a very exciting video for you Leica fans. Have you ever seen a black Leica M4? Me neither. So as soon as I saw one at a fair price, I jumped at the opportunity and purchased it. Coming up, everything you need to know about a Leica M4 and how my journey was cut shorter than hoped. Yeah, full story coming up. Hey guys, Matt here from MrLeica.com. If you're into Leica related stuff, hit the subscribe button. That's what we talk about in this channel. I'm a model photographer and Leica photographer, so I tend to blend the two on the YouTube. So if you saw my last video, I was talking about the different Leica M cameras, but one camera I've never owned is the Leica M4. Now, when researching that video, I was trying to search to find an image to put in the previous video of what an M4 looked like, and I spotted a black Leica M4 listed in the UK. Now, when I've seen them listed before, they're around about £4,000, and so I've obviously never bought one. This is used price. And then I suddenly saw one listed in the Leica Manchester store for much less than that. So yeah, I purchased it and it came the next day by DHL. So shout out to Ben for the quick turnaround time. I can put a link below if you want to check the pre-owned Leica stuff that the Leica Manchester store have currently got in stock. Okay, first impressions. First impressions of a black Leica M4. This is actually a black chrome Leica M4. This is an absolutely stunning camera. You'll see as we get into this video, this camera side by side to a lot of my other Leica M cameras. You'll notice the finish is different to all other Leica black cameras that I've got, in like a good way. It's absolutely stunning. So first thing I needed to do was put my straps on. I fitted my usual Wu-Tang Craft red leather straps. Again, link below if you want red straps. Put some lenses on, and then I did a quick walk around and I did some testing. Now for me, the key testing is to do mirror selfies with some fast lenses to see if the rangefinder's spot on. And you can see to my disappointment that the rangefinder's off by miles. It looks like it got heavily bashed around by maybe DHL, and perhaps the prism is loose in the viewfinder. And so although it was calibrated when it left the Leica Manchester store, it's now not really fit for purpose because you need to get the prism reset. You can't just adjust the rangefinder because that won't make a difference. So sadly, it's got to go back. Now before I box up this camera, let me take the opportunity to show you how it compares to other Leica cameras and the different finishes. So in different finishes, you've got black chrome, which is this one, which is as they said, they made two batches, so they're relatively more expensive and kind of less common, around £4,000 each used price. You've then got your silver chrome, which are the common ones, around 1,500, 1,700, and then you've got black paint, which are around 10k, so bit of a difference. So I pulled out a pile of black M cameras to show you how they vary. The first thing you may notice is the black M4 has actually got a slightly nicer black, more black compared to the kind of grey black you see on the digital Leica M cameras. This is Leica M10P. So first, if we look at the engraving, you can see that the engraving on the black M4 is similar to on the Leica M10P. This is actually a Leica M10 converted to a Leica M10P. So it's got the top plate for Leica M10P. So you love this style of engraving, so much so, if I can fit it on. I also had my MA engraved, custom engraved by Leica Wetzlar, see that video, to match the M10P and in this case the Leica M4. You can see here the old engraving compared to the new engraving. The new engraving slightly maybe thicker paint or less fine compared to the vintage engraving. But both of them obviously beautiful. Right, let me show you some quick differences between the cameras. If you saw the last video, I'm not going to cover everything that I covered in the last video. See the last video for a full rundown of like all the different camera models. But I just want to quickly show you. So here is a Leica M3 and here is a Leica M2. These three cameras share a lot of things in common. They're all made from the pressed brass top plate and bottom plate. You can see in the older Leica M cameras, the viewfinder's sunk in a little, like indented, whereas on modern cameras it's flush, if you can see the difference there. All three cameras use brass gears, and I can show you how pretty brass gears look, because this one is being quite well used, so you can see on the inside. If we take a look inside, you can see how beautiful the brassing can look. This camera is quite clean on the outside, but it's got very heavy brassing on the inside. Not sure if you can see the nice brass colour there on the film spool rapid film loader, and you can hopefully see the brass gears here and here. So this is the most brass I've seen on the inside of a camera, I think. So the earlier M3 and M2, like the M4, all got brass top plates, bottom plates, brass gears, and because it's brass it just feels smoother. So if I advance the shutter, Because brass is a softer metal, it wears over time, and that's what gives the earlier Leica M2, M3, M4 this soft and more buttery film advance, whereas on a later camera, as we'll talk about in a second, they feel a bit more precise because they're not made of brass. Now when I bought the camera, this was actually a silver screw. I can bring up a photo on the website, and they kindly switched it to a black screw. So huge thanks to Leica Manchester for switching it to a black screw. Makes a big difference. If you live in the UK, definitely check out the Leica Manchester store. I can put a link below. They sell both new Leica and used Leica. That's where I got my Leica SL601 from, as well as this black M4. Main things you'll notice between the M4 and the M3, M2, other than the colour, the M4 now has plastic frame selector switch and plastic self-timer lever. You can see the self-timer there. Now this isn't found on the more modern cameras, but you do get it on the M3, M2 and the M4, so really handy if you're doing selfies. Other things to note, these cameras M3, M2, M4 don't have a hot shoe, unlike the later cameras, and the main difference between the earlier M3 and the M2 is the M4 was designed to be faster to use. So you now have a nice film rewind crank, which is faster than the old style lift up rewind knobs as on the M3 and the M2. So that's the main differences between the Leica M3 and the Leica M2. Next, let's look at the later cameras. So next, how does the M4 compare to the M4P? The M4P came after, and it does have a few changes. First things, you've now got zinc top plates, bottom plates on most cameras. I know there are a few variations, but to the most point, zinc top plate, zinc bottom plate. This makes the camera lighter than the earlier M2, M3, M4s. You can see the paint finish is slightly different. They've gone from this kind of blacker black to kind of a grayer black. You've still got this sunken window, which is nice, as they tend to get less fingerprints. But now you're using steel gears compared to brass gears. So the reason they included steel gears in the M4 and onwards is because the high tensile steel was designed to be more durable to work with the winders and the motor drives. So when you put a winder on the bottom or a motor drive, the torque from the motor drive would strip the gears if it was made of brass. So that's why all later cameras, everything including like MAs, if you buy a brand new MA or MP today, these cameras all use high tensile steel gearing compared to the brass found in the M4, even though they've now gone back to brass top plate, bottom plate, the same as the M4. If I just grab the M3, another main difference between the earlier M3 and M2, you've now got a two-piece film advance lever, same as on the M4P, which was different to the earlier M2 and M3. Some people like this two-piece advance lever. Personally, I prefer the single piece just because I think it's neater to have a single piece of metal than this two-piece made of plastic. But yeah, let me know in the comments, you prefer two-piece or single piece. Another upgrade from the M4, the M4P, is now fitted with a hot shoe. You can see the contact point compared to the earlier M2, M3, M4, where you have to use the sync cables if you want to fire or flash. With the M4P, you also started to see the famous Leica red dot, similar to what you see on the Leica M6 cameras, where on the Leica M4 it's much more minimal, much more stealth. Now what if we compare the Leica M4 to my Leica MA? Because I've had my black Leica MA engraved, they look almost identical. I think the Leica MA is slightly nicer because you've got the single piece advanced lever. I'll kind of bring it to show you. It just looks super sexy. But the M4 still looks great, and I mean, maybe I'd switch the lever to this style of lever, but for the most part the M4 looks beautiful. The advantage of the M4 over the MA is actually for anybody that's kind of uses the camera as like a work camera, like I'm working with models, so I need the camera to be as fast as possible. I prefer the fast rewind crank of the M4 to the classic rewind knob found on the MA. Both the MA and the M4 have got the fast film loading. Main differences are the advanced lever, rewind crank compared to the single piece and the classic style. The other advantage is the MA's also, remember, got the hot shoe compared to the cold shoe. If we look at the viewfinders, you can see there's no tint on the earlier M4 finders, where the more modern ones have got a blue tint. The only problem with the modern finders is they seem to catch every fingerprint much more than the classic ones such as the M4. Now finally, how does the M4 compare to the M10? Now the M10, as you probably know, if you know anything about Leica cameras, the M10 is slightly bigger, it's slightly taller, and it's actually more similar to the Leica M7 if I bring this in. And as you can see, they're both a little bit bigger than the M4. If you can find a black M4 and you already own like a black M11P or a black M10P, these cameras pair absolutely beautifully together. Let me know in the comments if you prefer black Leica cameras or silver Leica cameras, and which is your favourite Leica camera model. Personally, I like both. I like black cameras with black lenses, and I prefer silver cameras with silver lenses. Talking of silver cameras, although the black Leica M4 wasn't to be, I did fall in love with the concept of the M4, and so I returned the black M4 and got myself a silver Leica M4. I'll probably stop posting things on social media. I have already been using this camera and it is working perfectly. And yeah, full video coming soon, so feel free to subscribe. Thanks as always to my amazing patrons, and catch you in the next video.